"You can't do this, Patrick. I'm your sister, not a horse to be traded." The saloon reeked of whiskey and smoke. Around the poker table 4 men sat frozen, eyes darting between my brother and the stranger across from him. Patrick wouldn't look at me. His hands trembled as he pushed forward his last chips. "One more hand. Just one more. You got nothing left to bet with, boy." The man's voice was cold as winter water. Cole Hartley, a ranch owner from the Northern Territory, a man who kept his word and expected others to do the same. Patrick's jaw clenched. Then his eyes found me in the doorway. The look on his face made my blood run cold. "I got her." The room went silent. Cole's gaze shifted to me. Dark eyes, unreadable. He looked me over once, then turned back to Patrick. "A woman ain't property, Callahan. She's my sister. I'm her guardian since Pa died." Patrick's voice cracked. 3 months of her labor. You win, she works your ranch. Pays my debt with honest work. Patrick, no. "And if I win?" Cole interrupted. "Then the debt's forgiven. All of it." I wanted to scream, to run, but I knew Patrick. He'd bet me whether I stood here or not. Cole leaned back. "You're asking me to bet $1,500 against 3 months of labor. She's strong, good worker." "I'm standing right here," I cut in, stepping into the lamplight. "And I can speak for myself." Cole's eyes met mine. Something flickered there. "Then speak." I wanted to tell him to go to hell, but where would I go? Patrick had sold Paz Farm. The little house in town was all we had left, and the bank was already circling. "If he loses, I'll work. 3 months. But I wanted in writing. No extensions, no additional terms. Cole studied me, then nodded. He pulled out paper and pencil, wrote in clean letters and slid it across. "Sign it." My hand shook as I wrote my name, Rose Callahan. Patrick signed below me, his signature a mess of trembles. Cole dealt the cards slow and deliberate. 5-card draw. I couldn't watch, couldn't breathe. "Call," Patrick said, voice thin. Cole laid down his cards. 3 queens. Patrick's face went white. His cards fell. A pair of 8s. "No." The word died in his throat. "No," I thought. Cole stood, folding the paper into his vest. "Get your things, Miss Callahan. We leave in an hour." "Now wait." Patrick started, but Cole's hand pressed him back into his chair. "Not rough. Final. You made your bet. You lost." Cole's voice never wavered. 3 months, then she's free. That was the terms. "Patrick," I waited until he looked at me. Tears streamed down his face. "Don't you dare follow me. Don't you dare show your face at that ranch." "Rosie, I'm sorry." "You never think." I walked out with my head high. Let them stare. The night air hit my face, cool and clean. I stood there listening to my breathing, feeling my pulse hammer. 3 months. I could survive 3 months. Behind me the door creaked. Cole stepped out, settling his hat. "I got a wagon at the livery. I'll wait while you collect your things." "I don't have much." Patrick sold most everything. He nodded. "We'll stop by the general store. You'll need work clothes, boots, a coat." "I can't pay." "It comes out of what you earn. I ain't a charity, Miss Callahan, but I ain't a slaver either. You'll work hard, but you'll be treated fair." He walked past me. I watched this stranger who now held 3 months of my life in his pocket. I thought about running, but I'd signed that paper. Given my word. I went back to our house, packed my 2 dresses, Ma's wedding ring, Pa's locket, a hairbrush. That was it. 23 years of living. I left the key on the table and walked out. Cole stood beside a wagon at the livery. He took my bag, secured it, then gestured to the seat. 3-hour ride to the ranch. I climbed up without accepting his hand. We rolled through town in silence. Normal people living normal lives. And me riding out with a stranger because my brother bet me in a card game. "You got questions, ask them." Cole kept his eyes on the road. "Why'd you accept the bet?" Long silence. "Then your brother owes money to bad men, real bad. If I hadn't taken that bet, someone else would have, and they wouldn't have bothered with papers. So this is mercy? This is business. I need help on the ranch. You work hard, keep your word, we'll both come out square. And if I run," he looked at me, "then I'll find you and bring you back. That's what the law says. You signed a contract. That makes it binding." At least he was honest. The town fell away. The road stretched ahead, silver in moonlight. Grassland rolled out like a dark ocean. I'd never been more than 10 miles from home. Now I was riding into unknown territory with a stranger, to pay a debt I didn't owe. 3 months. I could survive anything for 3 months. The ranch appeared at dawn, sprawled across a valley between two low hills. A main house, weathered but solid. A barn bigger than any building I'd seen in town. Corrals, a smokehouse, what looked like a bunkhouse set back from the rest. Cole brought the wagon to a stop near the porch. "Sun's coming up. You can sleep a few hours before we start." "I'm fine." I wasn't, but I'd be damned if I'd show weakness now. He studied me, then shrugged. "Suit yourself. Barn needs mucking. Tools are inside." He walked toward the house without looking back. I stood there in the dust watching him go. No welcome, no explanation. Just work. Good. I didn't come here to be coddled. The barn was dim and cool, smelling of hay and horses. 6 stalls, 4 of them occupied. A big roan lifted his head as I entered, ears pricked forward. A smaller mare in the next stall whickered softly. I found the pitchfork leaning against the wall. The wooden handle was smooth from years of use, worn to fit a working hand. I'd mucked stalls before. Pa had kept 2 horses before he died, but that was years ago, and my hands had gone soft from town living. By the time the sun cleared the horizon, blisters were forming on my palms. "You're doing it wrong." I spun around. Cole stood in the barn entrance, 2 tin cups in his hands. He walked over, handed me one. Coffee, black and bitter. "Wrong how?" My voice came out sharper than I intended. "You're fighting the fork instead of letting it work for you." "Here." He set his cup on a post, took the pitchfork from my hands. "Angle it like this. Use your legs, not your back. You'll last longer." He demonstrated, his movements efficient and practiced. Then he handed the tool back. "Try it." I did. He was right. It was easier. "Thank you," I said, the words stiff in my mouth. He picked up his coffee. "You eat breakfast?" "No. There's bread and jam in the kitchen. Eggs if you want them. Help yourself." "I'm not hungry." "Wasn't asking if you were hungry. I was telling you to eat. You're no good to me if you collapse from hunger halfway through the day." He walked out before I could respond. I wanted to throw the pitchfork after him. Instead, I went back to work, using the technique he'd shown me. My hands still hurt, but the blisters didn't get worse. An hour later, I made my way to the house. The kitchen was simple. A cast-iron stove, a wooden table, shelves lined with jars and tins, everything clean and orderly. I found the bread wrapped in cloth, still fresh, cut myself a thick slice and spread it with berry jam. Ate standing up, too aware that this wasn't my home, wasn't my kitchen. "There's a room off the back." Cole's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway, hat in hand. "It ain't much, but it's private. Got a bed, a washstand, a trunk for your things." "Where do the ranch hands sleep?" "Bunkhouse." "But you ain't a ranch hand. You're—" He paused, seeming to search for the right word. "You're working off a debt." "That's different." "Different how?" "Different in that you sleep in the house, not with 6 men who ain't seen a woman in months." The way he said it made my cheeks burn. "I can take care of myself." "I'm sure you can. But it ain't about that. It's about what's proper." Proper. The word almost made me laugh. Nothing about this situation was proper. "The room's yours," Cole continued. "You'll take your meals here in the kitchen. Work starts at dawn, ends at dusk. Sundays you get half a day off after morning chores." "And you? Where do you sleep?" His jaw tightened. "Upstairs, opposite end of the house, door stays locked." I wasn't suggesting. I know what you weren't suggesting. He put his hat back on. "But folks talk, Miss Callahan, and I won't have your reputation ruined more than it already has been." He left before I could ask what he meant by that. I finished my bread in silence, then found the room he'd mentioned. It was small but clean. A narrow bed with a quilt that had seen better days. A washstand with a chipped basin. A window that looked out over the eastern pasture. I set my bag on the bed and unpacked Ma's ring and Pa's locket, placing them on the washstand where I could see them. Small reminders that I'd been someone before I became a debt. That afternoon, Cole put me to work mending fence line. The sun beat down merciless and my hands bled through the blisters. But I didn't complain, didn't ask for rest. When dusk finally came, I could barely stand. "You overdid it," Cole said, appearing beside me like a ghost. "Let me see your hands." "They're fine." "They're bleeding, let me see them." I held them out, hating how they trembled. He studied the raw palms, his face unreadable. "Come on." He led me back to the house, to the kitchen, made me sit at the table while he rummaged in a cabinet, came back with a tin of salve and clean bandages. "This'll sting," he warned, then began cleaning the wounds with surprising gentleness. I bit my lip to keep from crying out. "You don't have to prove nothing to me," he said quietly, wrapping the first bandage. "Working yourself to death won't make the 3 months pass faster. I'm not trying to prove anything. I'm just doing what you asked. I asked you to mend fence, not destroy your hands." He finished with the bandages, then stepped back. "There's stew on the stove. Eat something, then get some rest." "What about you?" I already ate. But I could see the single bowl in the sink and it was still clean. He was lying to make sure I'd eat. That night, lying in the narrow bed, I stared at the ceiling and listened to the house settle around me. Somewhere upstairs I heard Cole's footsteps, slow and measured. 3 months ago I'd had a home, a brother I trusted, a future that seemed, if not bright, at least certain. Now I had blistered hands and a stranger's reluctant kindness. I closed my eyes and tried not to think about how Patrick was sleeping tonight. If he was sleeping at all, if guilt kept him awake like anger kept me awake. But mostly I wondered why Cole Hartley had really taken that bet. And why he looked at me sometimes like I was something broken he didn't quite know how to fix. 2 weeks passed like water through a sieve. Days blurred together in a rhythm of work and silence. My hands toughened, my muscles stopped screaming every morning. I learned the ranch, every fence post, every watering hole, every temperamental cow. Cole and I spoke only when necessary. Past the salt. Cattle need moving to the north pasture. Storm coming in from the west. But I watched him, couldn't help it. Watched how he treated the horses with patience he never showed people. How he fixed a broken wagon wheel with the same care some men reserved for courting. How he sat on the porch some evenings, smoking a pipe and staring at the mountains like they held answers to questions he'd never ask out loud. He was lonely. I recognized it because I was too. On Sunday morning I hung laundry on the line behind the house. The sheets snapped in the wind, clean and white against the blue sky. For a moment I let myself imagine this was my home, my sheets, my sky. The fantasy shattered when I heard horses approaching. 3 riders came up the main road, well-dressed men on expensive horses, the kind of men who didn't belong on a working ranch. Cole emerged from the barn, wiping his hands on his pants. His whole body went rigid. "Hartley." The lead rider dismounted, a thin smile on his face. "Been a while." "Chandler." Cole's voice was flat.
"What do you want?"
"Heard you acquired something interesting. Thought I'd come see for myself." The man's eyes found me. He looked me over slow, like I was livestock at auction. "She's working off her brother's debt," Cole said. "Ain't none of your concern." "Oh, but it is my concern. Patrick Callahan owes me money too. $500 to be exact." Chandler's smile widened. "Thought maybe we could share the collateral." My blood went cold. "She's under contract to me," Cole said. "Legal and binding. You got a problem with that, take it up with the judge. I'm sure we could come to an arrangement. I'd only need her a few days a week. My ranch could use—" No. The word came out like a gunshot. Final. Absolute. Chandler's smile faded. "That's not very neighborly, Hartley. Neither is showing up on a man's property making demands." Cole took a step forward. "Rose Callahan works for me. That's the end of it. You want your money from Patrick, you go find Patrick." Patrick's disappeared. "Convenient that. That ain't my problem." The 2 men stared at each other. The air crackled with tension. Chandler's companions shifted in their saddles, hands drifting toward their gun belts. "You're making a mistake," Chandler said softly. "I'm not a man you want as an enemy." "Then you should have thought of that before you came here threatening what's mine." The words hung in the air. What's mine? He didn't mean it like that. I knew he didn't, but heat crawled up my neck anyway. Chandler remounted his horse. "We'll see how long your sense of honor lasts, Hartley. 3 months is a long time. Lot can happen." They rode off, dust rising in their wake. Cole stood motionless until they disappeared. Then his shoulders sagged, just slightly. You should have let him have me, I said quietly. A few days a week wouldn't have killed me. He turned to look at me. You know what kind of work he wanted you for? The question hung between us, ugly and raw. Yes, I said. I'm not stupid. Then you know why I said no. Because you're an honorable man? The words came out bitter. Because you feel responsible for the poor girl you won in a card game? Because nobody deserves that. His voice was rough. Not even someone who thinks she deserves it. He walked past me toward the house. I stood there, sheets flapping in the wind, feeling something crack open inside my chest. That evening I made supper. Fried ham and potatoes, biscuits from the sourdough starter I'd been tending. Cole came in as I was setting the table, stopped short when he saw 2 plates instead of 1. You usually eat after I'm done, he said. I'm tired of eating alone. He looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he washed his hands at the pump and sat down. We ate in silence for a while. Then I said, "Thank you for today." "Don't need thanking. I'm doing it anyway." He looked up at me. In the lamplight, his eyes were softer than I'd seen them. "Your brother ever tell you why he started gambling?" The question surprised me. "No, he just started. After Pa died." My brother was the same, started small. Poker games after work, then bigger stakes. Then he got in with bad men like Chandler. Cole pushed food around his plate. By the time I found out how deep he was, it was too late. He took his own life rather than face what he owed. My throat tightened. "I'm sorry. I'm not telling you for sympathy. I'm telling you so you understand. When I took that bet, I wasn't thinking about cheap labor. I was thinking about a man desperate enough to bet his own sister, and a sister who'd let him. I didn't let him. You stood there, signed the paper, came willingly." His voice wasn't accusing, just tired. "You could have run, could have said no, but you didn't, because you thought you could save him. Isn't that what family does? Family doesn't ask you to sacrifice yourself. That's not love, Rose. That's just using." No one had called me Rose before. Always Miss Callahan, always formal. The sound of my name in his mouth made something flutter in my chest. "He's still my brother," I said quietly. "I know that's the hardest part." We finished eating in silence, but it was a different kind of silence now, less empty, more like understanding. After supper, I washed dishes while Cole sat at the table, mending a bridle. The leather creaked as he worked, the needle making soft puncturing sounds. "You miss town?" he asked suddenly. "No. Not even a little?" I thought about it. About the little house where I'd lived with Patrick. About the faces that turned away when I walked down the street. The whispers that followed me. "There's nothing there to miss," I said. "Everything I cared about is gone. That ring you keep on your washstand. Your ma's." "Yes. How did you?" "I see it when I walk past your door. You always make sure it catches the light." The observation unsettled me, that he'd noticed, that he'd been paying attention. "She died when I was 12, I said. "Fever took her in 3 days. Pa never really recovered. My May died young too. Childbirth. The baby with her." We stood there, 2 people bound by loss and circumstance, finding unexpected common ground. "Rose," he said. And again my name sounded different in his voice. "What Chandler said today, about lot can happen in 3 months. He wasn't just talking. I know. If he comes back, then we'll deal with it." The word slipped out before I could stop it, but Cole didn't correct me. Just nodded once and went back to his mending. That night I lay in bed listening to the wind rattle the windows, thinking about Cole's brother, about Patrick, about the ways men destroyed themselves and took everyone with them. But mostly I thought about the way Cole had said, "What's mine?" that afternoon, how my traitorous heart had jumped at the words. 3 months suddenly seemed like forever and no time at all. The fire started just after midnight. I woke to the smell of smoke and the sound of horses screaming. Threw on my dress and ran outside barefoot, my heart hammering against my ribs. The barn was ablaze. Flames licked up the wooden walls, turning night into hellish orange day. The horses inside were panicking, their cries cutting through the roar of fire. Cole was already there, trying to open the barn doors. The heat drove him back. "The side entrance," I shouted, running toward it. "It's smaller, less draft." We got it open together. Smoke poured out, thick and choking. Cole pulled his bandana up over his mouth and nose. "Get back to the house." Like hell I will. I grabbed a bucket, soaked my shawl at the water trough, wrapped it around my face and followed him in. The world became smoke and heat and terror. I could barely see 3 feet ahead. Found the first stall by touch, fumbled with the latch. The roan burst out, nearly trampling me in his panic. He knew the way out. 2 more on this side. Cole's voice came from somewhere in the smoke. I found another stall, another terrified horse. Got the door open, stepped aside as she bolted past. The smoke was getting thicker. My lungs burned. My eyes streamed tears. Then I heard it, a sound that stopped my heart. A child crying. "Cole!" I screamed. "There's someone in here." I followed the sound, crawling now because the smoke was thinner near the floor. Found her huddled in the corner of an empty stall. A little girl, maybe 7 years old, Mexican, crying and coughing. "I've got you," I said, scooping her up. "I've got you." Cole appeared out of the smoke like a ghost. "This way." We made it out seconds before part of the roof collapsed, fell on the grass, gasping and coughing. The little girl clung to me, sobbing. The ranch hands were there now, forming a bucket line from the well, but it was too late. The barn was gone. Cole knelt beside me, his face black with soot. "You hurt?" "No. But she, who is she?" The little girl looked up at him, eyes wide with fear. She said something in Spanish, rapid and frightened. Cole's face went hard as stone. "She says bad men put her in the barn, said if her mama didn't come with them, they'd burn it down with her inside." My blood ran cold. "Chandler?" "Yeah." He looked toward the burning barn, his jaw clenched. "He took Maria, one of my workers. This is her daughter, Elena." The little girl buried her face in my shoulder. I held her tight, feeling rage burn hotter than any fire. "Where's her father?" "Died 2 years ago. Maria's all she has." Cole stood, his whole body vibrating with controlled fury. "Stay here with her. I'm going after them." "No." I got to my feet, still holding Elena. "You're not going alone. Rose, you need someone who can shoot. Can you shoot while you're tracking? Can you watch your own back?" I met his eyes. "Besides, she trusts me. She needs to come too. We can't leave her here alone, traumatized." He wanted to argue. I could see it in his face, but he knew I was right. "Can you ride?" "Yes." "Then get dressed. We leave in 10 minutes. I ran to the house. Elena still in my arms. Got her settled with a blanket and a cup of water. She wouldn't let go of my hand. "Venga conmigo," I said. My Spanish rough but serviceable. "Come with me. Vamos a encontrar tu mamá. We're going to find your mother." She nodded, those big dark eyes full of trust that broke my heart. I changed into riding clothes, pants I'd borrowed from the ranch hands, a heavy shirt, boots, braided my hair tight. Found Paz's old pistol in my bag, the one thing of his I'd kept. Cole was waiting with 3 horses saddled. He lifted Elena up in front of me without a word. We rode into the darkness, following a trail only Cole could see. The stars were cold overhead. The night pressed close. "How far?" I asked. "Chandler's ranch is maybe 2 hours south, but he won't go there. Too obvious." Cole's voice was tight. "There's an old line shack in the hills. Abandoned. That's where he'll take her." "Why Maria? What does he want?" "Same thing he wanted with you. Power over me." He urged his horse faster. "Maria's brother owes him money too. Chandler thinks he can use her to collect, and to hurt me for refusing him." The pieces fell into place. "You've been protecting people. That's why he hates you. I've been trying to stop him from destroying this whole valley. He lends money at rates nobody can pay back, then takes everything when they can't. Cattle, land, people." His hands tightened on the reins. "I won't let him have Maria, or anyone else." We rode in silence after that. Elena dozed against my chest, exhausted. I kept one arm around her, the other on the reins, and prayed we'd get there in time. The line shack appeared just before dawn, a dark shape against the lightening sky. 2 horses tied outside, lamp light in the window. Cole dismounted, signaling me to stay back. But I'd already handed Elena to him and pulled out Powell's pistol. "I can't let you," he started. "She trusted me to find her mother." "I'm going in." Something shifted in his eyes. Respect, maybe. Or something deeper. "Then we go together." We approached from different sides. Cole kicked in the door just as I reached the window. Two men inside. Chandler standing over Maria, who was tied to a chair. Her face was bruised, but her eyes were defiant. "Step away from her," Cole said, his voice deadly calm. Chandler turned, that same thin smile on his face. Hartley, and the Callahan girl. How touching. "Let her go. This is between you and me." "Oh, I don't think so. See, this is about teaching you a lesson." Chandler pulled out a knife, held it near Maria's throat. "About what happens when you cross me. Touch her and you're a dead man." Big words from someone who's outnumbered. That's when I stepped through the window. Gun raised. Not anymore. Chandler's companion went for his gun. I fired first. Didn't aim to kill, but the bullet took him in the shoulder and he went down screaming. Cole lunged for Chandler. They hit the floor in a tangle of fists and fury. I ran to Maria, cutting her bonds with the knife Chandler had dropped. "Tu hija," I said. "Your daughter, ella está segura, está fuera." She's safe. She's outside. Maria sobbed with relief. The fight ended with Cole's gun pressed under Chandler's chin. "You ever come near my people again, I'll kill you. You understand?" Chandler nodded, blood running from his nose. "Say it." "I understand." Cole dragged him outside, threw him toward his horses. "Get out of my sight." Chandler and his wounded companion rode off into the dawn. I stood there shaking, Pa's pistol still in my hand. Maria ran outside and Elena launched herself from Cole's arms into her mother's. They held each other, crying and speaking rapid Spanish. Cole turned to me. "You saved her life. If you hadn't been there, if I hadn't been here, none of this would have happened. He did this because of me, because you wouldn't share me." "No." He stepped closer. "He did this because he's a monster. You didn't cause this, Rose." But the guilt still sat heavy in my chest. The ride back was slow. Maria and Elena rode double, holding each other. Cole rode beside me, silent but present. When we finally reached the ranch, the sun was high. The burned barn was a black skeleton against the blue sky. Everything felt different now. The air, the light, the way Cole looked at me. "I'll rebuild," he said quietly, staring at the ruins. "But it'll take time. I'll help." He turned to face me. "That ain't your job." "Maybe not, but I'm doing it anyway." Something passed between us then. An understanding. A promise. "Rose," he said, and my name on his lips felt like a beginning. "When this 3 months is up, don't." I held up my hand. "Don't say something you might regret." "What if I won't regret it?" I looked at him. Really looked. Saw not the stranger who'd won me in a card game, but the man who'd protected me, taught me, fought beside me. "Ask me when the 3 months are done," I said softly. "Then I'll give you an answer." He nodded slowly. "Fair enough." The weeks that followed blurred together in a haze of sawdust and sweat. Rebuilding the barn consumed our days. Cole and his ranch hands framed the walls while I worked alongside them, hammering nails until my arms ached. Maria and Elena stayed in the house. Maria insisted on helping however she could, cooking, mending, tending the garden. Elena followed me everywhere, her small hand always seeking mine. "You're good with her," Cole said one evening, watching Elena teach me a Spanish song while we peeled potatoes. "She's easy to love." His eyes held mine a moment longer than necessary. "Yeah, some people are." The air between us had changed since the fire, charged with something unspoken. Every accidental touch felt deliberate. Every shared glance lasted too long. But the calendar on the kitchen wall kept marching forward. 1 week left. 5 days. 3. On the last Sunday I woke before dawn. My final day. I found Cole already outside, standing by the new barn. It wasn't finished yet, but the bones were solid, would be beautiful when complete. "Couldn't sleep?" I asked. "Lot on my mind." He didn't look at me. "Contract's up tomorrow." "I know. I'll take you back to town, get you settled." My chest tightened. "Cole, unless you don't want to go back to town." I went still. "What are you saying?" He finally turned to face me. The sunrise painted his features gold. "I'm saying you got a choice. You can leave. Take your 3 months' wages, start fresh somewhere. Or," he paused, seeming to gather courage, "or you can stay." "Stay how?" "As my wife." The words hung in the morning air. Simple. Impossible. Perfect. "You don't have to answer now," he continued, words tumbling out faster. "I know this ain't how these things usually go. Know you probably got feelings about how we started. But Rose, these past 3 months. Yes. He stopped. Yes? Yes, I'll marry you. My heart hammered. But not because I owe you, not because I'm grateful. Because somewhere between the blisters and the barn fire and learning to speak Spanish with Elena, I fell in love with you. His face transformed. You mean that? I don't say things I don't mean. He closed the distance between us in 3 strides, cupped my face in his calloused hands. I wanted to ask proper, get you a ring, court you the right way. We've never done anything the right way. Why start now? He kissed me then, soft and careful, like I was something precious he was afraid to break. When we pulled apart, the sun had fully risen. A new day, a new beginning. There's something you should know, Cole said quietly. Your brother came by last week, while you were in town getting supplies. My whole body tensed. What did he want? To see you, to apologize. Cole's jaw tightened. I sent him away, told him you didn't want to see him. Maybe I shouldn't have done that without asking, but you were protecting me. Was I right to? I thought about Patrick, about the years of broken promises and last chances, about how he'd looked at me across that poker table with desperation and shame. I don't know, I said honestly. Maybe someday I'll be ready to forgive him, but not yet. Cole nodded. That's fair. We told Maria and Elena at breakfast. Elena squealed with joy and threw herself at me. Maria cried happy tears and said she'd known all along. How? I asked. The way he looks at you, like the sun rises and sets in your eyes. She smiled. And the way you look at him, same way. We were married 3 days later by the circuit preacher. Simple ceremony in the new barn, with Maria and Elena as witnesses and all the ranch hands standing around grinning. I wore the best dress I owned. Still nothing fancy, but Maria had worked magic with a bit of lace and ribbon. Cole wore a clean shirt and actually combed his hair. When the preacher said, "You may kiss your bride," Cole did, thorough and unhurried, while everyone whooped and cheered. That night we sat on the porch watching the stars come out, Cole's arm around my shoulders, my head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. You ever regret it? I asked. Taking that bet? Not once. Even though it brought nothing but trouble? It brought you. He pressed a kiss to my hair. Everything else was worth it. I thought about that night in the saloon. How my whole world had collapsed into darkness and fear. How I couldn't have imagined ending up here, in this moment, with this man. I should thank Patrick, I said softly. Cole pulled back to look at me.
What?
For being terrible at cards, for being selfish and desperate. Because if he hadn't bet me, I never would have found this. I gestured at the ranch, the stars, the life spreading out before us. Never would have found you. That's a generous way to see it. Maybe, or maybe it's just the truth. I smiled. We make our own luck, Cole, and I choose to believe I got lucky. He kissed me again, slow and deep. When we finally pulled apart, his eyes were suspiciously bright. I love you, Rose Hartley. Rose Hartley. My new name, my new life. I love you too. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars multiply across the darkening sky. A cool breeze carried the scent of sage and fresh-cut wood. You know what's strange? I said after a while. That first night riding out here in the wagon, I was so angry, so scared. Thought I'd never survive 3 months. And now? Now 3 months feels like it went too fast. Like my real life didn't start until that night in the saloon. I traced circles on the back of his hand. Isn't that strange? The worst thing that ever happened to me turned out to be the best thing. Cole was quiet for a moment. My brother used to say that sometimes God works in crooked lines. Never understood what he meant. Until now. Somewhere in the distance, a coyote called to the moon. The wind whispered through the grass. Elena laughed at something Maria said inside the house. This was home now, not because I'd been brought here in shame, but because I'd chosen to stay. 3 months ago I'd been a debt, a burden, something to be traded and used. Now I was a wife, a partner, someone who'd helped build something real from ashes and broken promises. The barn stood behind us, new and solid. Tomorrow we'd finish the roof. Next week bring the horses back in. But tonight we just sat in the darkness, 2 people who'd found each other in the worst possible way and made it into something beautiful. Cole's hand found mine, our fingers intertwined. No regrets? He asked one more time. I looked up at the stars, thought about all the crooked roads that led here, and smiled. Not a single one. The end. And the end. If this story of survival, courage, and unexpected love touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to Wild West Untold Love for more tales of redemption on the frontier. And if a moment or a feeling in this story stayed with you, we'd love to hear it in the comments below. Because sometimes the strongest souls are forged in the darkest places, and the greatest love stories begin with the simplest act of kindness.